Good chilly morning today. It is Monday, 10/18. Uh, it's cold. I had to break out my long sleeve studio shirt. This is the first day of a little 3-day mini vacation I'm taking. To one, get stuff done around the house, and two, get stuff done in the studio. I have a lot to do the next 3 days, so I figured I'd take this opportunity to do a studio vlog, but kind of track a lot more of the other stuff I'm doing. So yeah, I'm starting things out. Orange juice as regular. My nose literally just trickling down the back of my throat. Sleeping this cold in the house, and it's like, oh great. Well, that's not a good thing. The problem with turning the furnace on at this point is this will be the first time since like April that it's been on. And so if I do that, it's going to just burn all the dust off, and then my nose is going to run even more. So I'll probably have to turn it on tonight, because it is going to go down to the 40s again. And the house is not going to heat up that much today, because it's only going up to 65. But there's other stuff I can do this morning, so I'm not totally freezing, including working on a grocery list. I got some bills and finances to work on, because I've kind of been neglecting those lately, and I got to rebalance things and put that all in my inventory, my art financial inventory sheet. So I'm going to start my day that way. Unfortunately, I can't just run right into the studio. I did, and now I got some other stuff to take care of first before I distract myself with painting. So that's where I'm started today. Okay, so by that thermometer, it's 62. By this one, it's 61. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm turning on the furnace. But I'm also going to go shopping right now, so I don't have to deal with the dust issue, hopefully. Okay. Back from the grocery store, got stuff to put away. I'm going to start on this chicken noodle soup that I want to make. The furnace got the temperature back up to about 66, 68, so we're back up to comfortable temperature now. Also noticed something interesting. As soon as I went to the grocery store and walked in the door, my nose stopped running. I felt so much better. It's like, yeah, it's a temperature thing. So, yay, good news. I'm not sick. Or at least, relatively speaking.
You're pretty sick, Chubbs.
Alright, so I'm in the studio now, but I'm not quite painting. Ran into, I'm like, okay, well, looked at all the things I have to do this week and what I kind of put on today's schedule. But two of the things on today's schedule, I could just do any of the either 2 days, and probably Wednesday, because I'll have more time Wednesday anyway. But, so my dad's coming tomorrow with that locker that I was talking about last time that I was painting for my kitchen. And I got to clean the shelves, which have just an insane level of grime on them. It's literally just like day and night with how much stuff there is. So I've got this one and 2 more to do. I think there were like 8 or 10 in total. 8 maybe. Probably not going to use all of them, but I still got to get these done regardless. Because otherwise, I'm going to run into a problem tomorrow with the shelves not being done. Okay, so when I finished the shelves, the carrots were done cooking, so I had to come up and do the chicken. Now it's been another probably hour since the last segment. 45 minutes maybe, probably an hour. I think it's been an hour. So I threw the noodles in, and now I got chicken noodle soup. Probably can't really hold this up without breaking something, but noodle soup, Kind of got distracted for a little bit with some videos because I saw some new trailers dropped recently. The teaser for Aquaman 2 for next year, which it's just concept stuff now. It already looks amazing. The third trailer for the Batman, and what was the other one? The new international trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife. So I kind of got a little sidetracked watching movie trailers. But kind of, yeah, gets the imagination going for sure. So soup. Since I'm kind of up and moving, I might change my clothes and go back out again because I need gas and I need to recycle some glass. And those two things were also things I wanted to do today. So probably going to do that. And then this evening, Monday, Tuesday, the next 2 evenings, I'm streaming on Twitch in the evenings because I'm playing Metroid Dread, so I'm going to be doing that. So technically, up until stream time, I now have about 5.5 hours. Okay, so I'm back from running all my errands. Came back, and the noodles that I put in the soup, I put too many noodles in the soup. They absorbed most of the broth. So I'm going to freeze most of this. I had a little bit of a bite of it. Put it in this big tub. And before I throw it in the freezer, I'm putting in some more chicken broth. I think the last time I made chicken noodle soup too, I did the exact same thing. I put like, yeah, half a bag of big wide egg noodles. Nope, they sucked up all the liquid, or most of the liquid. So, yeah. Good. And this, I probably don't have to freeze this. I bet I'm going to be eating this all week anyway. So I'll just find a place in the back of the fridge for it. Okay, so as I expected, I'm still not painting. Getting into cleaning the house actually a little bit up because my dad's going to be here tomorrow with the locker, so I want to make sure that's better. But I want to show you guys this because this is really neat. So this is a little service cart that all my drink stuff and bowls and things has been sitting on in the corner since I moved in. This is just what I've been using. But I want to show you guys the little advertisement thing on front of it. So this is from Costco from 1954. So it's just the old modeled advertisement and everything like that. It's missing obviously some pieces of it, so it's just a big cart. It's never gonna be worth anything, so it's not really worth keeping this on here. I just did because I think it's neat. But yeah, seeing the old design of something like this is one of the things that kind of really catches my attention. Not that it's, again, super old, but it's old enough that it's just like, that looks goofy, doesn't it? Compared to how clean and minimalist a lot of stuff is now, this just seems crazy. But at the same time, like, all of these are, individual illustrations that, someone had to do, and I find that to be quite interesting in general. So every now and then I'll see stuff like this, and I'm like, this is the kind of thing I miss about sort of like what we've lost a lot of ways in terms of digital media and photography and stuff. Not that there weren't. I mean, this is a photograph, but the little advertisement illustrations that strictly went digital after about the early 90s. So neat to see anyway. It's a little noisy too. But actually, since I'm seeing this out of the corner, I bet this would be really useful to have around the studio for stuff. Let's see. Over here maybe? I feel like this would be good for working on an easel and rather than having a palette somewhere, I could have it just here, So like sitting and working on this one, I can do that. But because it's on wheels, it doesn't have to be out all the time, and I bet it would fit under there. Ah, check that out. Perfect. Look at that. It looks like it belongs there. Okay, so it's about 3:15 now. I might as well actually paint something today because I've been recording a bunch of stuff, and you guys are here for the art and not here to watch me wander around my house. But I'm not going to work on Atlantis because that's going to take a little more time and mental thought processes that I, at this point in the day, don't have. But I can probably work on this finally. It looks like it's, wow, gotten really dirty sitting in the corner, picking up on a lot of junk that's been in the corner, and I gotta do a little bit of work on it before I even come in with the black paint marker for the tree. And it looks like there might even be some paint splatter on here, so I might have to remix some color. And there's a good chance I don't even have this color anymore, so should be interesting. All right, well, the good news here, somewhat, is that the specks of black from whatever project I was working on that splattered onto this canvas are mostly very superficial. Should not be a huge issue to remove them. I'm actually just scraping with the edge of this palette knife and wiping it with just some wet Kleenexes here. Scraping a little. So they're not terrible, and I don't have to remove a ton of paint or even mix up a ton of paint to get rid of them. Although this one's being a little more stubborn than the last several. There we go. So it's really, really minimal. Not a huge concern. It must only be like an ink or something. Yeah, because I'm really not getting a ton of loss here. Yeah, that's really good. Pretty minimal. One spot I do have to mix up a little color for is this bit, which is a surface imperfection that I ripped up. Problem is, I'm pretty sure this is Pearl Red, which I don't have anymore. I have Pearl Red Dark, but it's a different pigment entirely. So if I mix that with some cadmium, I think I should be okay. Yeah. But it looks a lot better than it did. Okay, I know that's not a lot of painting, but considering this is the most work I've done on this thing in 4 years, that's enough. Also, because at this point, that's all like this is all like the main branching segments now. And now, in order to do this, I'm gonna have to sit here with a liner brush and just flip it and keep going back and forth every time, like you just saw. But I don't want to do that now. I got pretty close with my color matching. It's not perfect, but I don't think it'll be a huge issue. Especially after I gloss coat it later, so not even really concerned about that. I mean, at a distance, it's kind of negligible. I might be able to give it another glaze coat just to be safe later, but not horrible. So I'm hoping after my dad comes tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to work on that and hopefully finish it. I am a little further than I was, at least the other day. I dropped in, so I grabbed a black paint marker and dropped in some lines and rock shapes, just so I kind of know where those are going to be going. And actually, it looks like I might have spilled some stuff on it when it was sitting in the corner the other day. But also getting it out of this corner and on the studio table at some point made me realize that the color and my glaze layer with the blue on like everything I did last time, that actually worked better than I thought it did. So I might do a couple of spots a little darker selectively later. But at this point, I'm going to be bringing a lot more warm tones into here. Probably glazing in with, what is it? This Quin Nicolazo Gold, which I love using for late painting glazing. Or late painting glazing. So it's going to be really establishing a lot more darks, but also bringing a lot of warmth into that. But I'm definitely better to where I was, and I want to get a little more yellow on the sub as well, because that got toned down to the point where I don't want it to fade all the way to the back. I want to bring a little more color back into that and make that stand out more. But that's where this piece is. So I think I'm just going to call it for the day, at least in terms of recording. You guys will see me tomorrow, which will be in like 10 seconds or whatever. But I've got just under 2 hours, or actually just over 2 hours. Really, I mean, 10-minute interval until my Twitch thing tonight. So I'm going to head upstairs, relax, possibly crack a hard cider, and, you know, that stuff. But I feel pretty good about today. This wood may need wet, and then because it's warped, you can probably see it sitting here. It's not exactly as even as it used to be. So I might have to do a little bit of work with that later and getting it to sit back and be flat again. I think this will be a good one, actually, come to think of it, because a couple of the bigger pieces like this one, like Valley of the Colossus, which is upstairs, and the Atlantis, which is the new one, probably won't be at the gallery until after Christmas. But I think this will be a good one to take there before Christmas to maybe get a few new ones down there before the new year. Okay, so it's still Monday, but I wanted to bring this up because I think it's, one, hilarious, and two, kind of relatable, hopefully. I'm still in the studio. I have been for the past 45 minutes, but I'm not working on anything. I'm just standing here watching YouTube videos on my screen, drinking a Mike's Harder, and not doing any work, but I'm just enjoying being down here. So every now and then I'll take a sip and pace around the floor and look at things and come back and go over here and keep watching things. And mostly I'm just standing here watching the screen. This is a lot of what I do in the studio, and I don't do as much painting as you guys probably think I do. It's a lot of just wandering around watching videos on the screen and just like doing figure eights and circles around the table and stuff. This is the bulk of what it means to be an artist for me. It's just be in your space but don't actually do jack shit. Day 2. Well, good morning. It's 9 o'clock Tuesday. My computer's off. What does it say over here? The 19th of October. I'm starting out today doing a little more house cleanup because my dad's going to be here in an hour with the stuff. This is one of my things to do for today. Actually, not a lot of actual things to do for today, except the one thing I didn't do yesterday. And today's thing is to clean around my desk, cable manage all of this monstrosity, and to clean my machine. My machine's still pretty clean, at least internally, but I noticed a lot of my fan vents are starting to pick up some dust because I do the thing you're not really supposed to do with a computer, is putting it on the floor. But I like to actually have desk space, so my old rig was about 4 inches thinner this way than my new one is, so keeping it up here is, and it's also, my new one's a lot larger. Anyway, so having it up here just wasn't really practical anymore, so I had to put it down on the floor after I built it, but that's a thing from before. So yeah, I'm kind of working on cables, tying things together. I'm really considering getting some new speakers for Christmas because these are it's like 25, 30 years old. Not quite 30. Pretty close to 25-year-old speakers. They work, but the cables and things, and sometimes the audio cuts out, and it's really it's a nightmare. So I'm working on this at least until my dad shows up. Gonna clean the computer out and everything like that. But yeah, that's what I'm doing to start the day. And for those techies interested, this is my my build. It's a nice fractal design case that is reflecting literally the entire room. There we go. Ding. Okay, so now I'm hoping that I have some brackets. I want to try and get all my cables up off the floor. And so, yes. These little guys. So one screw in one side that I can go put on the desk, and then a little hook that I can either just hold up or bend that, or tape it or something. Yes, this is perfect. I just have to find some shallow screws. What is that? That's 4. 4 should be fine. Never throw away hardware. I'll always have jars of stuff. I learned that from my dad. He just tons of stuff. Wish these weren't the smallest thing in here, but Don't get your hands caught in the pickle jar.
No, not the jar. Let go of the pickle.
That, and this will go in here like this for the desk. So this is my new cabinet thing. It's a lot taller than I thought it was originally, but it works. And now I have extra pantry space. Now that that's done, I can resume my morning computer desk project. Don't trip over the cords. Put a couple of those brackets up, hid some wires. Not perfect, but should be way better than it was. Yeah, that's a lot cleaner. Should be a lot easier to also clean, which is good. That was the whole point of this. So thanks to those little hiccups in my late morning, completely threw off my mental state again, and I have now gone yet another week, or another day rather, without any major studio time. I'm kind of hoping that to some degree after my stream tonight, I'll be able to, and after dinner, excuse me, get into the studio for a little bit of stuff, but I don't have high hopes for that. But no excuses tomorrow. We are absolutely going to be painting something tomorrow morning. I don't care what comes up. Nothing will interrupt me tomorrow. Okay, so now it is almost 9 p.m. on Tuesday. I gamed. I ate dinner. Quite a good dinner, actually. I was surprised. I kind of really just threw something together at the last minute. And now that, in theory, I should be probably trying to go to bed, I'm pretty wired and pretty motivated, oddly enough, right now to paint. So, took all damn day, but really, pretty much literally 12 hours after I should be really putting in the time. But here I am, and I'm going to get back to working on the Atlantis piece. So, I need some color. So I want yellow for that sub. Some of the Quid Nicolizo gold. And a blue. Alizarin Crimson and Bone Black sound good. I think it's enough to start. And I'll start working in some color over here. Okay, so I got a really nice color happening here with a lot of these foreground elements, and I want to work with getting the dust cloud for this done. So I'm thinking some of this, and actually, you know what? Even a little bit of yellow ochre would probably go a long way right now. I don't want to go for white at this point, but the ochre is going to be nice for just giving me just a little extra foof. Lightness, I guess. Foof. So, a little bit of an application and some dry brushing, I guess. Did I get that kick up? Of dust. Okay, so things are looking pretty good. We're a little more yellow than I was in the back layer, obviously. but it's really not an issue, and that's probably for the best for later. I'm gonna pull some more violets in here, but very, very, very sparingly, because I'm just trying to unify it with the back a little bit, especially the back rocks. I don't want it to be as bright as that either. I'm not really capturing the same glow that these things have. Just some of the indications that that light is traveling a bit. I'm actually thinking about bringing a little bit more gray or white or something into that dust cloud as well. And now that I'm kind of seeing all this, I think I do want to do a final oil buff finish, but more sparingly, like not over the whole thing, but maybe over smaller areas of it, which I flat out won't be able to touch till tomorrow since I use some of the open acrylics, and these are really going to have to sit for a little bit to dry the way that they should. But that should get me pretty damn close for tomorrow morning. I was kind of really thinking I had more work to do left on this, and as soon as I dropped this whole lower section in, I'm like, you know what, it looks pretty good. I don't want to force it beyond where it is to the point where I'd screw something up, which is always how you know it's done. If you think you're going to screw it up, it's done. But yeah, just getting couple more of these little reds in here. I do want to come in with my liner though and detail out a little bit with some black, or at least something dark, which I can and probably will do tonight, because I have a lot of my underlying paint marker lines still showing through, and I want to push that just a little bit more in that sense. So yeah, just getting some of those darks in. So I'm going to come in with my liner brush and probably just from one edge to the other, just go with some details and things. And then that's probably where I'm going to call it for today. I mean, it's not that I really am done, not that I feel like I'm done painting at this point, but I know I have to stop, and I know I have to go to bed at some point. Actually, the only thing I'm really waiting on right now is the rest of my sheets to be done in the dryer, because I did laundry today, and I washed my bedding, and I'm like, well, crap, now I gotta wait till that's done before I can actually go and lay down. Not that I don't have other sheets, but you know. So yeah, I'm gonna get a little probably some zinc white in here and just touch this up, and then come in with my liner brush, and we'll go from there.
Day 3.
Okay, so it's Wednesday, the 20th now, just after 9. Got up, hopped in the shower to get refreshed, and so now I'm here. I've been up for like 20 minutes. Half hour, maybe. So I got the Ghost of Atlantis, basically, in terms of acrylics, done. I actually ended up finishing the borders yesterday. I went as far as signing it, but I'm also going to do that little bit of the oil buff that I said I was going to do yesterday, especially with the way things are looking and the way the foreground turned out for that. And that's sitting in the garage. I gloss coated it yesterday as well. So that's ready to go for my oil and the turpentine and everything, or mineral spirits, because screw turpentine, it's awful. So I'm going to work on this. I want to get a color mixed up. I chose some Williamsburg Phthalo Turquoise and the Blue Ridge Phthalo Blue red shade. I think a slight mix of these two, probably somewhere in the middle of just equal parts, at least visually equal parts, not necessarily equal parts in volume, but those two together are going to give me a pretty similar look to, if you guys watched the painting process video for fungal luminescence, that I used the Phthalo Turquoise for that one when I was about halfway through to give it that sort of rich greenish glow. So I know what this color does to stuff, and I think mixing it with a little bit more blue will give me a lot more of what I'm looking for Ghost of Atlantis. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mix this up, and then probably going to just nail in the garage. I'm going to work with this larger brush again. This is actually the same one I worked on for the fungal luminescence piece. Of course, that other piece, I also did a lot more oil work on top. This is just going to be a quick layer. And then on top of that, I will go back with a little bit more acrylic and redefine some whites and some of the silvers. But other than that, that's all I'm going to touch after the oil layer. Yeah, this is pretty good. Taking a little bit more of the blue. Trying to create something closer to a teal so it doesn't totally resemble that other piece, at least in terms of the color. This is actually something I noticed too. The Blue Ridge oils, I'm using a Blue Ridge and I said that already. The Blue Ridge oils have a much wider nozzle than the Williamsburg does, which is like that. So I think with there's less control with how much color comes out of that tube. Basically creating a turquoise water. Ah, there it goes. Jeez. Yep, so much for that shower, right? Not sponsored, but I like these softer Viva paper towels for certain things. They're great for watercolors because they don't, you can basically like wring them out like a towel. They're so sturdy and durable. Sturdy, I don't know if that's the best word for that. They're also really good for watercolors, and since this is kind of like a watercolor oil technique, we should be good. Okay, so, again, I don't want to go nuts here. Also, it's pretty nice this morning. It's in like the mid-50s compared to the other day where it was in the low 40s. So, yeah, I want to be relatively sparing with this stuff. And the paper towel is going to come in handy to pull back a lot of that. If there's any areas that the color ends up seeming a little heavier. The other good thing about doing this is it's going to allow me to hide some of the mistakes that I made just with a little bit of extra color that I'm putting down. But it shouldn't distort the piece too much since I didn't use a ton of the actual oils, but I am changing the color a little. Yeah, this is going to create this nice. That's actually pretty good for, I don't even really need the paper towel, I just need the little bit of color. Yeah, I diluted it. That's good, I actually diluted that enough that I didn't have to worry about wiping it. That was my kind of my concern. If I don't dilute this enough, it's not gonna do anything. What's also nice about the oil coat on top of a gloss coat is that it takes a lot of the high shine away without completely destroying it. Yeah, you can, I don't know if it shows up on camera, but for me, I can really see the difference now applying it over the fish layer. I mean, it doesn't do much. It's like, it's, again, really, really, really subtle. It does just what it needs to do to create that underwater effect. And this is the roughly the same technique that I learned from my late friend Jim. Of course, he used this brown color called asphaltum. As soon as I tried the technique for the first time, I'm like, this would work with so many other colors for so many different things. So learn a technique, adapt it to how it works for you, and you start creating some really incredible stuff. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything. I know this isn't, an absolute masterpiece, but it is pretty fun. Get a little on my edges. Right. That looks really nice. That's gonna be a quick sell. I can feel it. Yeah, just that little bit. Now this is probably gonna take about half hour, 45 minutes to dry. So let me show you what else I'm working on today. Okay, so I brought you guys over here to the corner of other things for this. Whoops. So, a cousin of mine, my youngest cousin actually, is an avid skateboarder. And for a long time, I wanted, well, it's almost impossible to get a hold of him online. Turns out he does most of his messaging on Instagram. I now know that. So we've been catching up, and I was like, you know what I really want, and have been wanting to do for a long time, was to paint you a custom deck board. So I've been playing around with a lot of ideas. This is kind of my rough currently. There we go, something like that. So, similar to what I do normally in terms of post-apocalyptic stuff, he kind of browsed around my Instagram. He's like, this is really cool stuff, would look great on a board. I'm like, cool, that was my thought. Actually, since I already did a deck board last year for a charity thing, I was like, well, good, I have some experience doing this now. But I also wanted to play into sort of street art, urban-y kind of stuff, so I came up with this idea of doing all these layered, just grayscale, just pieces, like almost like confetti, sort of on the main center section of the board, and then in a sort of a center area of that, or some more selected area of that, do one of my regular landscapes. Now, I picked this up at Blick. I sent him a list of all the different styles at Blick. So I'm like, here, which one of these do you think would be good for you? And also, do you want something that that you would want to ride, or something that you would more prefer to just display? It's like I think just a display would be good. I'm like, okay, good. That means I don't have to put any kind of heavy lacquers or acrylic or polyresins on it. That helps. So I got this from Blick. It got shipped in with the rest of my stuff when I got stuff like 2-3 weeks ago. But I noticed one thing immediately, which I found to be a little bit strange, is this already has, this already has a sort of varnish coat on it, so it's really, really smooth. So what I need to do in order to even come close to letting this be okay for me right out the gate is I need to absolutely sand it down so it's porous enough that it can accept a layer of some layer of paint, gesso, what have you. I'm probably going to leave the natural wood, but just stain it maybe a little darker once I get the rest of everything off. But I got to sit here and sand all this off now. And once I do, I'm going to be able to do the design in sort of in the main center, let the confetti things kind of branch out a little bit on either side, and then yeah. But I absolutely have to sand this down first. So I got the at least most, or if not all of the upper varnishy shininess off of this. I'm going to go ahead and throw on a layer of stain, specifically because, and specifically now, because one, just sanded the wood, and that's the best time to do it, and two, I'm going to be putting some sort of an acrylic isolation coat before I start painting on this. So I need to have the stain done first, because if I try to do the stain afterwards, the stain won't penetrate the wood on top of the acrylic isolation coat. So, duh. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Just works it in. Can see some of the scratches from my heavier sanding, but that's actually okay. I didn't like the fact that it was super. It looked super new. I wanted something that looked like it maybe has been worn a little bit. Yeah. Plus, this is just going to bring out the nice grain of the wood. Also, the Ghost of Atlantis is almost dry. And with the holes in the board, I mean, I could fill those in, but I like the idea of keeping this board capable of being ridden. So I may even go as far as putting some coat of or extra varnish or something on it at the end. Yeah, Ghost of Atlantis is really, really close to being dry. Okay, so now I'm going to move this just over to the side. When this is done, I'm going to give it a buff with some steel wool to kind of bring a little shine back to it, and then hit it with the isolation coat. But because it's wood stain, this does absolutely have to sit for at least a couple of hours minimum, preferably 12 to 24. But does make for a good start. And some variation on this guy. So I'm playing with more vertical things, towers, maybe a big sun or something in the center. And I like the idea of going from white to black, and then using like black canvas and black canvas. So I'm thinking mixed gesso would probably work really well. So start with white gesso and then slowly tone it down with the grays, since I have both. So yeah, that should be good. All right, let me clean this table off. Now, I am grabbing just white and just the silver. I'm just gonna gently lighten. Actually, probably want some zinc white rather than the titanium white. Just some things to bring that life back to it. Especially in the coral, in those sort of windows and everything. I really want those to still jump. And with using the zinc white, it pretty much guarantees I'm not going to overpower it with it getting too bright. That transparency of the color itself just lends itself to being the perfect extra little bit. Okay, I think I'm calling it done. The new piece, Ghosts of Atlantis. I have to wire this. But looks pretty good. I'm going to go outside, get the camera, get a picture of this thing, and yeah, I'm happy. Nice big one for the gallery. Stave people off before I give them Valley of the Colossus and everything like that. So I need some screw eyes at the very least here. So this piece, as I mentioned before, is the exact same size as Valley of the Colossus. Now, I cannot take this to the gallery just yet, mostly because there's a show happening, or rather will be happening in a week, that is a Halloween show, and you're thinking, but Ben, this is called Ghosts of Atlantis. It is, but the colors are completely wrong for what they're curating for the show, so I can't take this down now, probably be in about a month or so, right before Christmas. So, the real question now is, where the hell do I put this in here? I'm thinking maybe the office might have some space in there. We'll just have to get relocated to one of the other rooms. I think it'll fit here. Maybe. That's where this is going to live for the immediate future, I think. Yeah, looks pretty decent in here. This lighting isn't warm enough for that to really, the colors of that to be shown well enough, but, you know. When you only have so much space and I'm not used to working this big, you do what you can. This Cataclysm, I got that one back recently. Guess it wasn't as big of a seller or whatever. Yeah, this one will go back over here, over the bookshelf. This one's coming over here for now. Constantly rotating things. This way, that way, other way. Wherever it fits, pretty much. Okay, so that one we take back down. Might want to rotate some other ones today, but I'll just wait for the time being. Alright, so with that taken care of, I can get back to doing this finally. Again. Well, finally and again. I need black paint. I need a liner brush. And I need to throw on some music and just relax a bit. Okay, this is taking a lot more mental stuff than I thought it would. That's a lot of rebranching. So, before, God, you really can't see it at all. After, maybe? Sorry, backlighting. Yeah, it's a lot. But it's halfway done now, which is cool. I think I'm probably going to close out the vlog now, because I can't even imagine how long this is at this point. Spending 2 other days not doing a lot of art stuff and running around, and I've some running around to do today as well. But I think since I'm probably good art-wise, since I finished Ghost of Atlantis, got halfway through this one, started the skateboard project, I think that's good. I think I can stop now and be satisfied for my 3 days off. So I'm driving up to a farmer's market to get a couple of pumpkins. That's going to take about an hour. I want to make some bread this afternoon, and a couple of those loaves are actually going to go to people I work with tomorrow, so that I have to do. The one thing Monday that I didn't do Monday or Tuesday, that now that it's the last day of my mini vacation, I absolutely have to do, which is clean my grill and get the propane tank out into the garage and things, and just cleaning all that up for the end of the season. And, oh, I was actually supposed to record a video today, but I did that yesterday in between all the other stuff. When I was working on finishing up Ghost of Atlantis, I'm like, hey, there's a good quick tip in here, so I'll do that. So that's already done. So, yeah, not a lot of extra stuff today, so mostly it's just going to be go get pumpkins, grab some to eat first, because I have not eaten anything yet today, and it's after 11. Pumpkins, bread, and then kind of just relaxing the rest of the day. So, Thanks guys for checking this vlog out. I know it probably ran a little long, but that's a lot of what's been going on, and I think this is a good example of why I don't get as much painting stuff done, and a lot of times don't have as much video stuff done on time on a more regular basis, because all little things happen like this, and really easily my mental concentration can be broken and thrown off, and it's really hard to get myself back into the studio to paint again, especially if it's like, well, there goes the morning, screw it, I'm not going to work now, because that's really a lot of the times of what happens. Happens to me anyway. But I got way more done, well, not as much done in the studio that I wanted to do these past couple of days, but I go back to work for 2 days, and then I'm off the weekend again, so I have a lot of time coming up still. So, feeling pretty good. I'm going to cover my palette, maybe come back a little later today, but probably not. So thanks guys for watching. I hope you found this interesting, inspiring, or just to some degree entertaining. If you did, hit the like button. Get subscribed if you're not already. And keep on creating. This has been, and I will see you guys next time. Plastic. Plastic. Plastic.